Hello and welcome to What Culture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined as always by the man who plays everything, Scott Tilford.
Hi.
Who has been playing Sea of Thieves and is hopefully going to tell us just what the it is.
So it's a bit weird because Sea of Thieves is obviously one of the biggest Xbox exclusives of this year, and it was a strange realization on, say, Saturday when we were talking. We was like, by the way, Sea of Thieves is out in like 3 days. And it's weird. There's not really this big sort of propulsive thing behind it, but it does have a bit of a reputation thanks to being developed by Rare. And now that I've got hands on with it, I played it for 2 hours. I unlocked it midnight last night.
Yes.
I played it a couple of hours. It's gorgeous. Like it has basically the main takeaway from this is going to be that it makes one of the best first impressions ever. But there are some issues with quest design, and I'll get to that stuff. But the main first impression is very positive in terms of how charming it is. Like it looks gorgeous, and there's so much character and charm to it. Like Rare have a reputation for that stuff anyway. Whether you go back to things like Conquer or even something that's a bit more hard edged like Perfect Dark, they're so memorable and they have so much identity. And Sea of Thieves immediately has that. And just so the main thing with Sea of Thieves is that it's very procedural. It's very manual. So like you just it's like it's a big sprawling open world kind of thing. I kind of think of it as like Black Flag meets Wind Waker.
Okay.
So it's like you've got lots of like pirate life for me, lots of shanties, and then you've got this massive world that is predominantly water with like islands dotted everywhere.
Yes.
And so it's very manual the way you explore it. So everything is procedural, so it's like in terms of like you're procedurally doing something, not procedurally generated. So it's like you pick like you pick a destination on a compass, and it's like right, we're going northwest, and then you need to manually like drop the sails, angle them towards the wind, and then maybe if you want to have like a drink of grog, you've got to fill it up on the tanker thing, and you can drink that, and your character will start falling around, and if you want to load up the cannons, you've got to get the cannonballs and put them in, and like even if you want to set sail, like you have to literally like drop the sails, angle the sails. Pick up the anchor, which is a 4-point like turny wheel thing. I know there's a ship name for it, and so your whole crew just sort of like grabs onto it and gets the anchor up, and then you're away, and then you're on this high seas, and that stuff feels great because you earn it.
That is so great to hear, because
Yes.
I was looking at the art style, it was a bit cartoony. I was thinking, is this going to have the mechanical depth to sort of hold an experience? But it sounds like it's so integrated, like more of a simulation than it is sort of an arcade experience.
Yeah, that's the thing, because like that. Okay, so the main sort of value, the main joy comes from those in that the first time you do all these things, and because the game pops achievements for all of these things. Like the first time you realize that you can drop your anchor and like handbrake turn your ship, because if you like if you turn hard.
Why is this making me so excited?
Because you just a pirate life.
Yeah.
You just pirate life for you. And so that's the thing. The first time you do these things, it's great. The achievements are popping off, and you're sort of exploring a little bit, and you're like, man, we got our ship moving, and that feels great. And there's as much depth as what I've just described to moving the ship. And that's something that you then do every time you arrive in now, drop anchor, explore, and you wind the anchor back up and that kind of thing. But the actual like meat and potatoes of what you're doing gameplay wise, in terms of like when you dock somewhere, you've got like basic sword swipe and combat. You can block, you can do charge attacks and swipe. You've got some guns. There's like long range stuff and little blunderbusses and stuff. But the quest design is where it kind of falls down a bit. Now I've only played a couple of hours, but based on the beta, which I also played, and the thing on just looking across the internet, the general sort of reception seems to be, and this isn't from me. Well, it is for me, but like it's for people who've also done more. Seems to be that the quest design is incredibly repetitious. Like even in those 2 hours, all 3 of the ones that I did in a row were all go to this mark and find this treasure chest, and it's fun. Like it's nice, it's charming, and all that kind of thing. But I've read that the only other overarching quest design is go find chickens. It seems to be that you're either digging up treasure, and it's great. You'll whip your shovels out and dig up the treasure chest, and then you carry it back to your ship, and there's that. Or you go and find a whole bunch of chickens. And it seems like the chicken thing is mainly in there because it means that they can encourage exploration by having a chicken on a bunch of different islands, and you go point to point to point and find stuff. But that whole idea of like setting sail on the high seas and just docking at a random island to see what you can find. So far, when we tried that last night, there wasn't anything. There was just more skeletons to shoot, and that was about it. You could kill a pig if you want.
Here's the thing then, because you're saying like the missions are repetitious, the quest structure isn't great, but we've had a conversation this morning about Sea of Thieves, and you've only played it for 2 hours?
Yes.
And yet you've had so many stories that you've been telling me that sound really interesting. So is this not a case of the destination isn't really that important when the journey's so good? Is that like you making your own stories, is that the crux of the game rather than what you're actually supposed to be doing from an objective?
Maybe. I mean, that's the thing, because like the amount of systems and little secrets they've got are great, because it's one giant dynamic open world, and so basically when you're getting matched with other players, the game doesn't tell you. So at some point you'll just be like going around on the high seas, and like for me, we just saw a ship on the horizon, and like one of our guys got the the periscope thing out, and he was like, right, go to the crow's nest and see what you can see. And it's like, and you just realize that like it's another player, and say you've like done, like we've done a couple of quests, and we had a couple of of treasures, a couple of loot boxes. The hell's it? Treasure chests.
Treasure chests.
God, loot boxes have been
Come on.
poisoned.
Oh, God.
In the modern day. And so my guy was like, well, let's put these on the crow's nest because even if we get boarded, they won't be able to find them.
Yeah.
And then we then, like, you know, ran up on this guy. I was like, oh, bollocks to it. We'll just shoot this guy and we'll just have an encounter. And that was really fun. And so that was the thing where we rolled up on this guy and we're like trading cannon fire. And we got closer and we got closer. I jumped down and I sort of like went underwater as my two guys were still firing cannons. And then we couldn't find the guy. And it turned out that he'd gone underwater and hid inside the hull. So we like took all of his stuff and we started to leave. And then we realized that we had a person on board because at no point does the game tell you, you know, where anybody is. And so then it ensued that like he took out two of our guys and I had to like fight him to like save the treasure. And
Did you save the treasure?
I did save the treasure.
Yes.
Thankfully. That stuff's great, and like those little dynamic encounters are brilliant. It kind of reminds me in a strange way of The Division, because one of The Division's best strengths was that you didn't know when you were getting matched with another player, and all of a sudden someone was watching you the whole time, or whatever. And like, you know, in Sea of Thieves you might see someone's ship docked at an island and you go, okay, there are players there, but I don't know what kind of threat is there.
Yeah.
But there's treasure there, so maybe that's what I want to do. And that factors into the progression system, which, as far as I can discern, is just accruing gold coins and reputation with different factions. Gold coins so you can get cosmetic upgrades. Like
this would be the big sticker for me. So you're defending the treasure and stuff when
Yes.
you're going out to sea, which sounds great. Like the fear of trying to get back to your base to bank it before you get boarded.
Yep.
But does that still hold up if the treasure itself isn't really substantial? If there's no real reason for you to want to keep hold of this treasure?
That's one of the weirdest oversights, and I wonder whether they took this out, because the general mentality from the devs has been that they're making this really gorgeous, charming game, and they actually made a point of saying that they designed it with various rules in place. They wanted to minimize toxicity in gaming. They were like, there's a whole thing, you know, online. We've all been in online, you know, we've all been shouted at by some angry 8-year-old, and they were like, how can we reduce that? And that general mentality in terms of everyone working together and, you know, just getting joy from, you know, interacting with a bunch of like fun cooperative systems, that is the game for the most part. And so one of the biggest oversights that I thought of was like, there's not a loot system. But I wonder whether they took that out because that is somewhat associated with a lot of games that do loot systems wrong, whether it's Destiny or Agents of Mayhem or something like that. And I look at it and I kind of go like, but if we've just fought a bunch of skeletons and potentially fought another crew, and then we all dig in and we lift the treasure chest out, I kind of want that reward.
Yeah.
And so all you really do is you take that back to the hub island and you trade it for a bunch of coins, and then you can buy like a better beard or a new eye patch or a set of clothing or that kind of thing. There could be other things to buy. I couldn't find much else. Again, I only played it for a couple hours. But it seems like mainly what you're doing is taking specific faction quests and then cashing them in. So yeah, there's not that much to the actual treasure, and this would be the game to do treasure with. Although you could argue potentially stereotypically or cartoonishly that most loot back then in cartoons and stuff is just doubloons anyway. It's not like they're finding like sweet jackets and chests, so maybe not. But yeah, it seems like they've gone for this kind of like, you know, all ages in, like everyone can just have fun, just go get your gold. And like you said, the main rush is getting back across the seas, fighting a kraken, fighting storms, like making sure the sails are right, like battling, that kind of stuff. And that stuff in the moment, like besides looking really lush, is mechanically like fun. Because, you know, you do have to react to like, man, the waves are choppy as hell, we need to turn the ship, we're going to run into this rock, we need to like, you know, there's a lot of stuff like that. But I do have to question how long that'll last in the long run.
Yeah.
Because even across those 2 hours, I started to feel like I could see through it. In much the same way that a lot of people came away from No Man's Sky, just going like, is this all I do? And obviously No Man's Sky's response was, yeah, kind of.
Well, this is what I was going to ask, because when you said you've been dropped into like a really colourful, personality-filled world, you know, but we've got nothing to do. I immediately went to No Man's Sky, like that sort of procedurally generated world where it is massive, you can do things, but there's not much to find. Whereas that didn't sort of have the experience or the adventure that seems to be inherent to Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, there's definitely more of, and it's because they're playing on established like tropes. They're playing on the whole pirate life thing. I mean, like, you know, you have an assortment of items that you can equip, whether it's like periscopes, or you can get your bucket if your ship starts to flood. You can get the water and like throw the water out. You've got to pick up planks of wood and patch up the holes. Like, you feel like you're living out all these like cartoonish pirate fantasies, whether they're from animated movies or just that general sort of cultural idea of what pirates are, whether you're talking like a pirate or whatever. And you can just, you know, you pull out your little squeeze box, and if everyone does it at the same time, the music syncs up and you're all like doing a little jive and stuff. That stuff is great. And that's the thing, I think, because they're playing off that, like I said, that kind of is the game. It's indulging in the whole pirate life thing. It's why people really love Black Flag. in Sea of Thieves, the thing that it reminds me of is Wind Waker, which, back when the Legend of Zelda came out, one of the biggest criticisms was that it was like 90% water, and you were always just sailing, docking for like 2 minutes, and there was nothing worthwhile to pick apart from it. That's the main problem with this, is that it plays on all these tropes to make you go, pirate life, I'm going to find all this treasure. And then when the rubber meets the road, or whatever, any of those stock phrases, there's nothing really there.
Yeah.
Or there's not nothing, but there's not enough. And there's so much charm in every other part of it that it can feel a little bit like, really?
So that's sort of disappointing, because Rare have been working on this game for so long now, like
feels
years
like
and years. It does feel like forever. It's like, hopefully you're going to be their big break. But is this more of a foundation, like laying the foundations for future content to come? Is it sort of, this is your base experience, it's going to get much bigger as the years go on?
I mean, I would assume so. I mean, that's the thing. It's been in development for, a very long time. Rare, used to be one of the biggest studios of the 90s, and then they kind of got drawn in by Microsoft to make lots of Avatar accessories and stuff across the 2000s. And this is their first new IP in a long time. I should have looked at the exact date, but it's a while. And yeah, that's the thing. The general layout of this is this big hub world thing with get your friends together, go on a few quests. They can plug more quests and content into that, and stuff like the Kraken attacks, Krakens randomly appear in the open world.
So you said this to me this morning. I was like, this is the coolest.
You think that it would be?
Ever.
I mean, we saw a Kraken on the sort of in a bit of a distance, but we had too much treasure, and we were like, we'll chase it for a bit. Yeah. I don't actually want to fight it in case we lose everything. But looking online, a lot of people have had the Kraken attack straight away, so it seems like it's not as rare as it should be to give that a reputation. Right. So yeah, I think they can plug in little dynamic encounters, and there's a lot more to do. Pirates of the Caribbean got lost in the whole ghost pirate thing, and when you die in this, you do go to a ghost realm, and it's pretty much just like a countdown timer. You go to a ghost ship.
That's cool.
You've got to wait. You can hear your teammates being like, "We're being attacked," or whatever. And you're just waiting, and then eventually the door opens on your ship, and you can go back through the time portal and come back to life.
Nice.
So it's got that. Like I said, there's so much charm and character and potential purpose. It just falls down a lot when it comes to the quest rewards. Because if you drill it down and go, well, why am I doing this? It depends how much mileage you can get out of being a pirate. But when you drill it down and go, what am I getting from this? It's gold and it's cosmetics. How much joy do you get out of living the pirate life and that kind of thing?
When it comes to your ship, because that sounds like it's sort of a home base. You're home away from home, and when you're talking about you're getting cannonballed and you're trying to get all the water out your ship, it sounds like you should have a lot of a big connection to it. Does it feel like a home? Can you upgrade it in any way? Is there any way you can sort of personalize it, or is it just a ship?
You can personalize it, but you basically pick two different types when you start. Because if you don't want to do the full 4-player crew thing, you can play it solo, but it means you should play a smaller ship. It's called it's called a sloop. And I think that might be the name that the community's nicknamed it. But anyway, you have a smaller ship anyway, and when you do as a crew, you have a bigger one with the 3 different sails on. And yes, you can customize it. Again, with the gold coins, you can buy different paint jobs. But you're not actually changing the overall shape of the ship, as far as I know. That could open up later on, maybe when you get a different rank. You start out as just a pirate, and you can get master pirate and stuff. But yeah, it's more of a means of travel. It's not something where you're like, I'm really going to take care of this, because it might get blown full of holes and you might lose it.
That's a shame.
So to some degree, I think it encourages you to explore and dock. It's more about the treasure. Right. It's it's like the pirate life. It's like this thing's this rickety old shanty, and you're going to use it to go and get wealth, and they channel that really well.
But then, is that not a problem if the wealth is worth nothing?
Do you not like a day one eye patch?
Day one patch, mate. That's great. I love the stuff about the day one eye patch, which you told me, and the fact that you can lock toxic people in jail.
That's great.
Cool.
Toxic people. So those oily people. Yeah, basically, if instead of kicking someone out, if your group does it, you say there's 4 people and one of them's being a bit of a wrong'un, you can 3 of you can vote to put them in the brig, which puts that player in the jail in the bottom of the hole, and then their mic is muted, and the only way they can get out is by apologizing.
I love that.
Which is genius. That's great.
Yeah.
That is entirely exemplifying why Rare are so special, because no one else would have thought of that. Maybe Peter Molyneux, but he would have lied about it.
To me, that sort of indicates that Rare succeeded in their goal to make a more accessible, friendly online experience.
Well, the main takeaway, like I said, is that it's so lovable. It's it's a world you want to be in. I just wish there was more drive to it. I wish there was more reward. I wish there were better gameplay loops. Right. If we're going to get all academic about this. So whatever, this has only been a first impressions. I do intend on going back to play a lot more, depending on just how the general rollout goes from here. I do love it a hell of a lot.
You convinced me to pick it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to be pirates for you, Scott.
Yes, man. Let's do it. Yeah. I've got a leg and a hook. And a crew.
You were talking about you can play it single player. Yes. Is there any good single player? Because I imagine that a lot of the joy from the 4-player experience comes from doing all the ship intensive stuff.
Does.
Is that not lost when you're on your own?
I don't mind because I don't like, again, something like The Division or like maybe even PUBG. Like, I don't mind the whole lone wolf thing, and because it is very intense getting your treasure back home. If you play solo and have your little ship and you're doing all the mass stuff yourself and you're like grinding the anchor, it is very much like I'm just this one person in this world of pirates, the Sea of Thieves, you might say. And anyone can come get me at any time. I need to be ready. I need to shoot them and whatever. And in a way, that lends itself more to being more rewarding. Like, towards the end of my session, the two guys I were with left, and it was just me. I was digging up treasure myself and going like, man, all this is on me now.
Yeah.
And that can be fun. It means that a lot of the maintenance of the ship is more belabored because it's literally you cranking this really slow anchor thing, and it's you doing all your sails. But again, it's inherently rewarding if you love pirate stuff, so it kind of plays more into that. If you want to do the whole Lone Ranger thing, get your peg leg and your hook, and which I do too, and you got your fancy eye patch and that, like, yeah, you can totally do that. It means that you'll get taken out more, but in a way that'll be more rewarding if you survive longer. So
true. Yeah,
there's a lot to like. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I've thought after a couple of hours. I'm hoping it gets better, and I hope that they manage to capitalize on all the charm that's there. You guys can let me know what you think down in the comments below. Is this the game that's going to make a lot of people pick up an Xbox after years of there being not a whole lot other than, like, Cuphead?
It's going to make me dust the Xbox off, that's for sure.
Good. But regardless, let us know what you think down below. I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
And we'll catch you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.